John Mize here. Now, on this video, I'm just going to give you some stats from a real world campaign. Um, I considered not showing these because they could be confusing. If you, it's fine print, you'll probably have to rewind this a few times. And unfortunately, one campaign is just, it could mean anything. It could be good numbers, it could be bad numbers. And you can make anything look like anything you want for one campaign. Okay, so I'm just showing you a campaign as an example. It doesn't need to be a benchmark or anything like that. But how many of you would like to see some real world stats? Okay, I love to see real world stats personally, even if I know that it's not a campaign that I'll ever be able to touch, good, bad, in between, whatever, just because I like to know what's going on in the market. But just so take it from that perspective. The reason I'm showing you these particular stats is one of the things that I've been talking about is making the adjustment in the middle of the campaign. And this is one where I ran it for 2 days. I saw a disturbing trend and I made an adjustment. And so I want to show you the before and after on making that adjustment. Now, this adjustment happens to not be one I talked about today. Okay. So, like I've told you on this advanced training, there's probably 1,000 things I haven't talked about today. Okay. You're going to discover those as you do it, and you're going to discover new things that I have never even discovered either. Okay. So the campaign, this is the sales letter. Not that this is relevant, but this is the sales letter for this. This was a $29 item with some bumps on it. Okay, so we had these 4 bumps. These are the same bumps that I demonstrated earlier in the course. Okay, so nothing fancy about this. In fact, and I don't have the data on this, when I first launched this, it didn't sell real well, and I had to make some adjustments to the sales letter itself. But A, it's outside the scope of the upsell training, and B, I don't remember what the changes were. All right, but I do want to show you some stats. These are the first 2 days stats. These are the first 2 days. I did 17 sales for $493. So that should be 17 times 29 is $493. Okay. The back end was 194. This 287 doesn't count. That's in a different funnel. So 194 plus 79 is just round and call it 280. 310, 340, 380. Okay. So just keep those numbers in mind. 493 on the front end, 380 on the back end. And that's not actually too bad. Okay. That's not quite 2x. Okay. So remember, we were talking earlier about doubling revenue. Okay. And that's this example here, being able to go from 3,000 to the initial slide said 6,000. So I basically went from 493 to probably about $800. All right. So all of this money is free money because these are products I've already created. They take no time for me. This is the PLR, no additional time for me. None. This is 100% pure profit. Okay. So we double the revenue. But I noticed a disturbing trend. Okay. For the software that I use and the way that my PayPal account is structured, my PayPal account doesn't do upsells automatically. Okay. I wouldn't worry with that. I think almost every new PayPal account can be set up for that, but for some reason mine can't, and it's no big deal. All right. But I had set this up to accept both. But you'll notice that because of this, this offer was not doing well in the bumps. So my PayPal orders were making no money on the back end. But my credit card orders were making all of the money on the back end. What that means is that really, instead of $493, my credit card orders were $290. But I think we did the math and the upsells were $380, right? So that means is that on my credit cards, I was actually well over 2x, but not on PayPal. And so I turned PayPal off, and 2 sales still came through, probably the order was either open or I might have done it at an odd time. So when I sorted the days, 2 PayPal orders came in. So now you'll notice that I went 551 on the front end. Once it was all credit card, let's add up the back end. We'll round up or down. 500, 650, 8, 10, 35, 1155, 1355, 14, 1500, 1700, $1,700 on 550. Okay. This was a 1,700 plus 500 is 2,300. This was like a 4.5x on the back end. Now, my whole campaign was only like 3x, okay, because of what happened in the first 2 days. But here's what I want you to get. If I hadn't studied the stats and made an appropriate change for this campaign, okay, I would have had a 2x campaign. So this 550 would have been, wasn't even 2x, it was shy of 2x. So this 550 would have been $1,000. I made $2,300. What that means is that one change made me $1,300. Not all I did was turn PayPal off, and I made $1,300 extra dollars. The moral of this is not turn PayPal off, okay? Because most of you aren't going to have that problem. The moral of this is you want to study your stats on day one. So another way to study the stats, and this is a lousy campaign. Let's study the stats here. Show this for a second. Okay. Now, again, you're going to have to rewind this. Probably zoom in. You probably can't see these numbers here. But so, for example, this offer was converting at 17%. It's a $97 offer. So I basically make $17 for every time somebody sees the first offer, the PL offer. Okay. 17% times $97, about $17. This one is 4 into 156. That must be $50, $40, $30, $40. This must be a $40 offer times 30%. I'm making $12 per click on this one. Okay. Or per order, $12. Okay. So I make $17. I make $12. This one is also 40 times 36%. I make $14 on this one. Okay. Now, these are the bumps, so they don't show a conversion rate. It's basically 3 people bought this out of 19 orders. So the bump is, what is 3 into 19? It's 15%. This order is $80. So 80 times 15% is, I think, $12. So each one of these, this bump is $12, adds $12 to the average order. This bump is $40. So times 15%, this bump only adds $6 to the order, to the average order. Okay. So this bump, fast course creation, is only converting at 16%, but it's an $80 offer. So 80 times 16 is like $12. So this actually converted really well. But you'll notice that every one of these is basically, except for this offer that's $6, all of these are making me between $12 and $17. If one of these was making me 30, I would move it to the very beginning of the funnel so that more people would see it. If the $6 offer was actually in the upsell funnel, I might take it out because it's not making me as much money as people seeing the other offers. Since it was a bump offer, I don't think it's taking away from anything. I'll take the extra money. But you see the concept here of studying these numbers to decide if the upsell campaign is working or not. Now, the drawback to all of this is if you only make 5 sales of something, you can't really study your upsell numbers. I mean, this isn't really enough sales to study anything anyway, but I'm using it as an example for you. And I've done this so much in the past. These numbers are pretty consistent. You know, I've sold, I'm without looking at the stats, I think I've sold $2,000 or $3,000 of this item as an upsell in like the last 90 days. Okay. I'm not changing that. if the conversion rate is 24% one day and 36% the next, it's a workhorse for me. I'm leaving it alone. If anything, I should probably raise the price, because if I raise the price, it's priced too low. If I raise the price, I'd make more money on it. And for some reason, I just haven't. Probably because it's been such a workhorse over the years that I don't want to touch it. Sometimes you just have like a golden goose and you leave it there. This I literally made this pre-COVID. I'm pretty sure that this campaign's been running 5 years. I wouldn't be surprised. This is a workhorse right here. Okay. So when you find a workhorse, you just keep playing it. And sometimes when you find a workhorse, you raise the price. So for example, this program here, this fast course creation, was selling really well at $30 or $40. I bumped the price up to 78. And it's not doing as well here, but I think it's actually doing pretty well. Like, I think it's making me more money than it was at the $40. I say all this to say, you have to go in there and kind of sort through and pick through there. If we look at the full campaign, this is the full campaign, 36 orders, $1,000. And then the back end is 7, 1,000, 13, 15, 17, 19, 20, 21, 22. So the total campaign was 1,000. Total revenues $3,200. So the total campaign was 3.2x. So the day 1 and 2, it was 1.8x. Days, last 2 or 3 or 4 days, it was whatever, 4.5x. Average was 3.2x. Okay. So that's why I wanted to show that to you. Again, I'm showing you these stats. They're not significantly statistically significant. If there was 200 orders, they might be, or 300 orders. It's not. But I think this gives you, I can just tell you honestly, this is a pretty good picture of how my back end campaigns run. Okay. So if I gave you a full year of a bunch of different products, it'd be confusing, but this is pretty much what that would look like. And so you could say this is sort of what I'm going to shoot for. But remember, I've been doing this for 15 years. So when your campaigns come out and they do better than this, cool. If they don't do as well as this, don't beat yourself up. Just know that if you take time to kind of work through these things, then you will improve over time.